all the feelings that I've had in my life of like being a dropout, being a deadbeat, being hopeless, being a space cadet. That's still how I feel. You know, I still feel like I'm sort of constantly therapying myself against these feelings.
The morning light is turning blue, the feeling is bizarre.
Kevin Parker, welcome back to Triple J, and congratulations on album number 5, Deadbeat.
Thank you. Thanks.
This is your 5th time doing this. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm keeping it together. Yeah, I think like every time that I go through this, I get a little better at dealing with it. Mm-hmm. Just like keeping my head screwed on just a little bit more each time.
Yep. And what does that look like for you?
It just means enjoying it more, I think, and just sort of like trying to keep my head screwed on and try to sort of like just sort of view it from the outside rather than viewing it from stuck inside my own head, if that makes sense. Like every time I release an album, it's like, you know, it's this like, this sounds really dramatic, but it's like this, you know, chaotic transition between all this music that was just mine.
Yeah.
You know, just my little thing that me and only a select few people have heard and know about, to just like it belonging to the world, you know, and it's really kind of like violent change. But everyone around me is like celebrating. It's like, hey, let's have a champagne. Hey, it's like album release day. It's album release week or whatever. It's like, you know, there's all this happening, and I always feel sort of guilty that I'm not on everyone's level. So I'm trying to, you know, get on the level.
Now, you have spoken about being, a little bit insular when it comes to this kind of thing. October 17 was the release date. Can I ask you honestly, when was the last tweak that you made on the master?
Oh, God. I think it was about a month ago. I just, you know what, I've been too busy. They've kept me too busy with like other album rollout stuff to like get into the studio and make mix tweaks. So yeah, it was like a month ago, I think. And you know, they were only mine. Don't worry, they were only mine. I was like turning the backing vocals down by like a dB or whatever.
5 albums in, they know you got to keep him busy, keep him away from the laptop. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's it.
Now, Deadbeat is the name of the record, and that was a word that you had written down in your notebook. What is it about that word that was on your radar?
I think it was like, you know, I just write down a lot of words, you know, just as a sort of when I have thoughts and like potential song titles and potential words in other songs, and I just saw it, and I don't remember why I wrote it down originally, but it just jumped out of me, you know. I just liked the way it made me feel. I liked how sort of like, you know, small and degrading that it was, you know. Because for me, whenever sort of words are like that, but they've also got a flair to them, then that's when they grab me.
This is also an album that you spoke about last time on Triple J, where you, on the album artwork, are cuddling your daughter Peach. And that was a spontaneous moment on set. She ran on, the photographer was snapping away, but you were shooting for the album artwork in that moment. What was it about this record where you went, for the very first time on a Tame Impala album, I want it to be me as the photo?
Just that I wanted it to be an album that is noticeably more like exposed of me. I just wanted to put my own self into it and out there, however you want to say it. Because, you know, I've always sort of like prioritized the soundscapes and the textures and everything, which are still things that I love, but I just sort of like, you know, realized, I just saw an opportunity to make an album that was noticeably more human. Just something that I realized that I love about music, and I've never done myself. And I'm always looking for things that I haven't done yet. There are always the things that that get me, that excite me, even if they are, new and terrifying.
We're going to talk about some of that a little bit later on, but you, with the sounds on this record, you said that you didn't want to use the whole studio. You wanted to use a small amount of sounds and be quite intentional about them. How discerning and strict with yourself do you have to be when it comes to that?
You have to be very strict if you have a lot of things at your disposal. One of the great things about making music when you're just starting out is that you don't have many things. Like when I recorded the first EP, the first Tame Impala EP, I literally had like a digital 8-track, my guitar, and a pair of headphones. I went to the bar that we always rehearsed at to record drums at.
Wow.
Because I just had so few things to make the music, and that gave it this really cohesive sound. And the more time you are, a musician, the more things that you get. Like I've got a whole studio now. That's like this, my studio is my old house. So there's just so much space to I've still got everything that I've never actually sold a piece of gear or given it away or anything. So it's always there. And like the dream of being a gear nerd and a studio rat is to have everything at your disposal and to just be able to have this library of stuff. That's always the dream. That's the fantasy. But to me, that can get away from that kind of beautiful simplicity in music. So I just kind of wanted to get in touch with that again.
What kind of sounds then did you want to prioritize on this record?
Yeah, I was just really drawn into sounds that were quite just really simple and stripped back and like sometimes distorted, sometimes kind of like, I kind of had this fantasy of like, if it sounds shitty, then it's right, because I think for someone like me who's sort of always obsessed with, the expansive of songs and sounds that are like this expansive pop thing, I always just love the really, the opposite of that. The pendulum swinging the other way is like kind of is like just the opposite of that, whatever.
Yeah, you had that attitude as well going into it with thinking, let's just go with it. Was there a turning point for you in surrendering to that and being led by feeling on this record?
No, because it's something that like I wanted to do it because it felt right. I felt like it was time, or not time. I just really gravitated by those kind of things at the moment. So, it's not like I had to force myself out of making another sort of swirling, expansive pop album. I just had a kind of a sonic fetish for it now. So it was kind of just like that's kind of all I wanted to do,
Dracula was the first inkling of the album. Before you tapped into that song, where were you at with the album making process? How were you feeling?
Before I stumbled upon Dracula, or what ended up becoming Dracula, I was pretty wide open. Like, I remember I went away for a few days by myself. I just got an Airbnb on the beach, up the coast in California. It was weird. I was in this sort of like area where there were other sort of family vacation houses nearby me, and I was just this one guy in one of the houses. They must have just thought it was so weird. Like, why is there just that one guy there, just standing on the balcony smoking weed? Like, doesn't he have a family?
And you're like, yes, I do.
Yeah, I've never gone into an album process that sort of just totally open, creatively, and so I usually sort of like just naturally pick up. I'm always having ideas for songs, But at that point, I didn't want to use anything that I'd done before. I was like, I'm just going to start now. Also because that's how a lot of the music that I was making with like pop artists and stuff, that's how they do it. It's not like that, it's like, you all pile into a room and say like, all right, let's start, let's just start something. And like, to me, that's always terrifying. Like, what, you're just going to try and think of something? Like, to me, it's always got to be this sort of like, almost spiritual, accidental thing. But I just sort of started it. I just wanted to sort of, start.
With intention. No, it does, yeah.
With intention, yeah. Which, to be honest, was difficult at the start because I've never been someone that can just sit down and write a song. Like I can't. If you asked me to sit down and write a song right now, I guarantee you it would suck. So to me, it's always got to be a thing that just sort of got to wait for it to happen.
So what were you doing when that kind of melody line from Dracula came to you?
It was my last day. I was there for a whole week and I was starting to get depressed actually because nothing had come to me. I had started writing a couple of things and the way that I just described doesn't work for me. I was like, cool, let's, I'd written a couple of things. I was there for like 5 days and then like they weren't very good and I was like, oh, this sucks. This has been a flop. It's like, it's okay, it's a flop. Like it's just the beginning. And the last day was at the evening and I don't know what was happening, but
it happened.
Just thought of something and went for a long walk on the beach, went for a long walk on the beach, smoked a spliff, went back and tried to record it.
Yeah.
Without, hoping I wouldn't forget it. It was kind of, it's like when songs start happening, it sort of all cascades, It's like a crack will emerge and then it'll sort of all sort of fall away or whatever the analogy is.
Yeah.
Yeah. These things sort of escalate quickly and that's how you know that it's a good idea.
It certainly led to a good idea because the album opens with My Old Ways. And when you're listening to this record, a lot of the tracks are bookended with that almost atmospheric sound. Sounds like voice notes or just recordings in the room with you. Why did you want to open the record by getting us in the room with you before we get into it?
It just felt right. I mean, like I've done some. So I used to have a dictaphone recorder, like thing like journos have. It's kind of like a really small, quite cheap sounding microphone. Like the iPhone, like voice recorder thing is the same. The voice memo thing. I've always just loved the sound of those. It just feels to me, it sounds more. It sounds more immersive, or like it sounds like you're there in the room with someone more than like a super high quality stereo recording, more than like a movie or something. I just love the sound. I just love how intimate it is, love how fragile and so to me it was kind of a no-brainer. As soon as I had the idea because I had the voice memo already, I was listening to it in my car in between mixes, and then so I listened to a mix of full-blown sort of drums and everything happening, and then the next thing on my little playlist would be just a voice memo. It's just like, oh wow, it's this real shot of intimacy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so it was kind of a no-brainer for me.
And No Reply kind of ends the same way. You've got that beautiful piano refrain, and at the end, it kind of sounds like you're just noodling away. Where did that come in the process?
Funny story about that. The outro for No Reply, that piano bit, is just my phone recording of me doing a demo, planning to go back and record it properly, and I did record it properly. I recorded it with this like amazing, as I was saying, like stereo microphone, and I lost it. I lost the recording. I'm just too useless at organization. Anyway, so I lost it and just decided to use the voice memo, the original one. So, you know, I when that kind of stuff happens, I'm like, oh, that's the universe telling me to use the legit, the real deal demo.
Yeah.
You know, the one that feels the most exposed.
The first two songs really setting the tone for Deadbeat, the character that we go on this journey with. I got to ask, I know a lot of people will, Family Guy, did that just rhyme or were you watching a lot of Family Guy?
You're right. A lot of people probably are going to ask that. It's both. Honestly, it's both. It did just rhyme. That was one of those lines that just sort of happens without you thinking about it. I mean, I sometimes watch Family Guy for sure. I watch a lot of cartoons. I'm just a cartoon guy, you know, Futurama, whatever.
Yeah.
But like the sort of the me that I'm writing from in that song is sort of like a few years ago. Well, like, you know, when I was kind of just like early 20s, was like sort of out of high school, just quite lost, you know, quite lost. And I think I was watching a lot of Family Guy then, so I think that's why my brain went there. But yeah, I still laugh at that line when I listen back to it. There's not many lyrics of mine that make me laugh, just in the most endearing way. You know, I don't know.
I do like the image of imagining you watching Family Guy, but I also think it's really interesting that this song is one from the perspective of your early 20s. I think so many people are going to relate to it in 2025. The kind of energy it takes at the moment to reply to someone when you've kind of been on your phone and living on your phone and it's this extension of your own hand. So I do think it is interesting hearing this song now and relating to it, even though it probably feels so personal to you.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, that's when music is the most powerful, right? I guess that sort of like, you know, that at the end of the day, that's kind of the reason that I wanted to be more like that on this album, is because I know that when you do the difficult thing and you cut a piece of yourself off and you put it into music, even though you don't want to put it in there because it's like, oh, I don't want everyone to know this. I don't want, you know, it's like you really have to make a decision. You really have to sort of put yourself out there. But when you do, you know, like at the end of the day, people, that's what people relate to, and that's what people that's what people get. They feel something from. So yeah.
We then move into Dracula. This is the first time you've had a co-writer on a Tame Impala track since Lonerism. Sarah Aarons, what a person to do it with. How did you two link?
Best. We met in LA, actually. I think we got sort of like put together by my publisher, Sony in Australia. They sort of like, you know, they want to, or I asked them to put me together with some songwriters just to sort of get started on some stuff writing for other people. And we kind of just hit it off as friends. We still don't have anything that we've worked on that's been released yet, because we just sort of like get into a session together at my house and we kind of just hang out and talk shit for the whole time. We do get stuff done. We get a lot more done than me on my own. But we've kind of just become like LA buddies, you know. Yeah. Like her and her girlfriend, who's her wife now, and me and my wife, we're kind of like a four, you know, we're like a go out and do stuff.
Perfect.
The four of us, they've come to Wave House. So yeah, we just work whenever we can, really. And it's been amazing. It's been really good.
What was it like in the room together working on Dracula? What did Sarah Aarons bring to that song?
Shit, you know what? The way I would describe it is like she's like my songwriting coach. Because, you know, like I have my inspirations and my ideas, and if I'm left to my own devices, I eventually get there. You know, I eventually get to point B. I eventually finish the song and sort of like a meander. But Sarah just has this amazing way of, you know, knowing the path, not knowing how to ignore the stuff that is just sending you wayward, you know? And she's just really great at making decisions there on the spot. Like she knows what's going to work. She knows what's not going to. So, you know, I play her this song that's got like a 32 bar intro, you know, and she's like, no.
Cut the fat. Yep.
Yeah, she's like, what do you mean we haven't started singing yet? Not to say that she's the one, you know, she's directing the show that way. She's, you know, like I'm always in two minds about things. I'm always sort of second guessing and doubting what I'm doing. So she just has a great way of like, you know, asking me what I want, and then, you know, so in a way, you could even see it as like she's almost like a producer in that way for me. So it's like usually I'm the one actually writing the lyrics, but she's kind of just guiding me.
Yeah.
So that I've just found that to be extremely efficient. It's like Tame Impala in like efficient mode, you know, with the efficiency cranked up.
Dialed up, yeah. Let's talk about Not My World, because the pulsing drums on this track, when we last spoke, you said that drums were the most important thing to you and that the rhythms were almost more important than the music. Do you still feel that way, and how did you approach the drums on this album?
The rhythms in my music will always be, you know, almost the most important thing. It just for me carries the like the groove carries the emotion to me, for whatever reason, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, Not My World, to me, this is kind of like the signature sound of Deadbeat. It's the one that's like the truest to me, because it's so stripped back. It's so, to me, it's so raw. Like the first few minutes are like, it's like uncomfortably raw for me. You know, almost everything's put through a guitar amp. I was obsessed with putting drum machines through guitar amps, vocals through guitar amps, synth through guitar amps. You know, I just wanted to have this really grainy, raw sound. I wanted the whole album to sound like Not My World, but and a lot of the songs did, but then I just sort of, you know, like saw the value in, you know, a song like Dracula. It wanted to be a big pop song, you know, so I just kind of let it.
Yeah.
But Not My World was kind of just like, it was just the chance for this sort of like 4 minutes or whatever the song is, just to get down and gritty for that time, and just really lean into that simplicity.
But talking about those big pop moments, we get a sexy little R&B moment on Obsolete, right down to that Spanish guitar. It's giving Timbaland, it's giving Pharrell. Also noting on Oblivion, that kind of Afrobeat style. Tell me about that influence of R&B on this record.
R&B has been an influence of mine for ages. You know, like the first time that I started experimenting with that in Currents, it was like this sort of new and scary world for me. You know, like I just remember I remember thinking people were gonna find it too R&B. You know, like, who is this Australian guy? You know, so yeah, it's always just been in this like a love of mine. Yeah, so it just happened. You know, it was just one of the songs that yeah, it just happened. It wanted to be on the album.
It wanted to be, it needed to be.
I'm always talking about songs as though they're like people. They have their own you know, their own personalities. So
They're like, hun, I'm on the record whether you like it or not.
Exactly.
We got to talk about Ethereal Connection. I need you to know the first time I heard this song, I was walking through a chemist warehouse. So that was pretty crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, just...
Wait, was it on the chemist warehouse sound system?
No, absolutely not. Under embargo, in the headphones. Could you imagine? That would be intense. But you used to describe techno as a guilty pleasure. What made you drop the guilt and embrace it?
Just shaking the sort of, you know, the sort of cultural indie rock baggage that you that you have when you're starting out and you're part of a scene, you know? I would hope that it's not really a thing these days. It's like this sort of like genre snobbery. You know what I mean? It's like indie rock people thinking that like dance music is less intellectual or whatever. I would hope that's the case, but I don't think it is. I think that's still a thing, but whatever. You know, I'm not. It's just I think it's also just becoming comfortable in your own skin and your own. It's like at the end of the day, there's no such thing as a guilty pleasure, unless it's truly bad. Let's say in music.
In music, yes.
In music, there is no such thing as a guilty pleasure because there's nothing guilty about any kind of music.
Yeah.
You know, I used to think that like pop music was guilty pleasure. That's not true. I used to think that techno music. You get what I'm saying.
You've always loved techno music. Why was this record finally the time to explore that?
I don't know. It's the first time I've felt confident enough to do it, and also felt that that I had enough like space on an album to fill it out with like dance music and like electronic music and like techno music that can go for 8 minutes. You know, I think in other albums I've been so focused on lots of little songs. Or just songs that were, you know, of other influences. So this time it was just like it was techno's time to shine.
Do you think DJing has given you a newfound appreciation for electronic music production and dance production?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah?
Definitely.
How so?
Definitely. When you were DJing in a club or in a space where it's loud and there's lots of people, you realize how potent music that is simple and only has a few elements is. It's like when you play a song in a club that's like got tons of layers and the drums aren't very loud, you know, it noticeably doesn't connect. It doesn't have that presence and impact. So you just realize how important it is for music that's meant to make people dance. You just sort of learn some things sonically, I guess is what I'm saying.
And has immediacy.
Yeah. Which is not to say that it can't be this thing that sort of like slowly draws you in. In fact, quite the opposite.
Yeah, you got to wait. You got to savor it.
That's the other thing. You realize how important it is to take your time and to not rush into it. You know, like the sort of the ebbs and flows of electronic music, of sort of like techno music, for sure.
And you were inspired by Bushdorf's 90s rave culture. You know, I read a story about there being that natural amphitheatre at the back of the Wave House, which kind of has remnants of old parties there. What are some of the stories or things that you wanted to emulate on this record that you've heard from that time or from your own partying years?
To be honest, it's kind of like, it's just states of mind that I've like observed in those places or those people. It's just that sort of freedom and that like totally off the grid way of being, whether it's like, you know, whether it's just like raving, like partying, or if it's like a community of people that sort of, you know, there's sort of like, there's a lot of that culture around South Fremantle, like around where I live. Like there's sort of like, you know, a lot of sort of backpackers. And I just walk past them a lot going to the beach. This is getting off topic, but I don't know, like they've always got techno music going and it's just so, I don't know, to me, those techno and like that kind of freedom to me just goes hand in hand. So it's always like something that's really got me. But yeah. And also being amongst it, being there, just feeling like you're completely disconnected from the world is something that, you know, like that like music that I make has always gone hand in hand with that frame of mind, that energy, that spirit. So yeah.
So where you are right now, can you tell us where you are backstage?
Right here.
Yeah, in this interview.
Oh yeah. So I'm in a strange place. I'm in rural Pennsylvania. I'm in this massive like rehearsal pre-production facility where they've just got all this it feels like a NASA. It feels like a space launch kind of facility where they've just got these big sort of like warehouses. What do you call them? Yeah, buildings where you set up your whole show, and you just run pre-production. You just sort of like you test out the lights, test out your lasers or your confetti, everything, and it's in the middle of like rural Pennsylvania. It's like surrounded by Amish communities. So the air here is so clean and so crisp. It's like standing outside. It's like, wow, you know.
And you are there testing the live show for Deadbeat. Can you give us a little sneak peek of what you've got in store, what you've got planned, and whether you're going to be bringing it to Australia?
Ooh, I'd love to tell you more. I would honestly love to tell you more, but I don't want to ruin the surprise.
All right.
But I will say that it's different to anything we've done before. It's categorically different to anything we've done before. Actually, you know what? I can tell you because I think the seating plan has already been like people have, but it's in the middle. Da, 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 da.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
an arena spectacular.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're finally doing it.
Oh my God!
I think it's actually gonna I was just checking. I haven't actually seen much of the show. I just got here yesterday, but I think it's really cool because we're doing that sort of like 360 show that a lot of bands and artists have done, but we're doing it like the Tame Impala way.
Yeah.
You know, which to me is like a combo that feels new. You know, we're doing the whole Tame Impala thing in the middle. Whether we can do that in Australia, I don't know yet. But the only thing I care about live is that the show is great and special for wherever we are. So I will say that.
And Kevin, this record kind of explores yesteryear, you know, moments of feeling like a deadbeat. What does it make you reflect on, you know, looking back in the past, looking back at these moments and the person you are today who maybe doesn't align himself as a deadbeat?
Oh, on the contrary. To me, the message or the reason that the album is so relevant to me is that these feelings and these sort of things that you see yourself as, they're not things that go away when you reach, you know, success, or material things like that. You know, like for all the feelings that I've had in my life of like being a dropout, being a deadbeat, being hopeless, being a space cadet. You know, the reason that I feel so strongly about calling my album this now is that that's still how I feel. You know, I still feel like I'm sort of constantly therapying myself against these feelings. Not to say that they are a bad thing, because again, me calling the album Deadbeat is kind of like it's like glorifying it. It's like a celebration of it. You know, I think I already said this in the Triple J interview a couple of weeks ago, but it's like a way of, you know, celebrating it. Yeah.
A way of celebrating it. Well, we love it. Deadbeat, the record from Kevin Parker, is out now. Album number 5. Kevin, congratulations. And thank you so much for hanging out on Triple J.
Of course. Always my pleasure. Thanks for having me.